Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the show, everyone. This is Locked On Coyotes. I'm your host, Robyn. Leaño, Pavlock right beside me. On this Thursday, it is November 4th, the day before the next game day. Coyotes play the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow. We'll talk a little about that towards the end of the show, but we have a lot to get to in today's show. Before we get anything started, I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Coyotes your first listen today. We really appreciate all your support. Once again, we're available everywhere you get your podcasts, free and available, absolutely everywhere. But let's get started. Carl, we got some news yesterday that was not some good news for Coyotes fans, Connor Timmins, the young defensive I was going to say, what's the best way? Potential really good defensive player.
Yeah.
Out for the rest of the season with a knee injury. And it just sucks to hear this because, obviously we knew he had injury problems before, but we're obviously hoping for better times after coming to Arizona.
I mean, definitely. It seemed like, well, let's start by saying this. His previous injury, he sustained a concussion in juniors, missing a year and a half of play. He's down with a knee injury. They are in no ways
connected. They can't be
connected. Yeah. Sometimes when we see younger players who have consistent injury problems, it's the same area. I think for a while people were maybe worried Chikrin's knees weren't great because he kept injuring those.
Yeah.
That's not the case. This is a completely different situation. So there's at least that. But yeah, initially it looked like he would miss 2 to 3 months. Now it's the entire season, which is just very unfortunate. I think everyone's kind of come to the consensus that it was a clean hit, but it definitely dealt him a pretty significant blow to his knee, and it sucks. It's one of those things where knee injuries are terrible.
Something that I don't understand. We were talking about this right before we went on the air. And that is the shift of the timeline and how quick everything changed. When he first went out with the injury, when he first got put in the IR, the Coyotes listed 8 to 12 weeks, and we're like, okay, that's fine. It's going to be what you're saying, 2 to 3 months. It's not going to be much of an issue. And then all of a sudden he got upgraded to 1 to 2 weeks, and we're like, oh, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
And then the very next day, or 2 days later, out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those things where you just have to wonder, did someone say the wrong thing? Was there a miscommunication? Because that's really weird. We kind of got a big info dump for injuries yesterday. So I have no clue what the initial 2 weeks was. 2 to 3 months sounded realistic for a knee. Anything less, you're doesn't seem like it was really hurt. But it could be he got a positive test initially, then got a more extensive, bigger test. Could be potential. You know how GMs like to sometimes throw out some misinformation, so you don't know too much about anything. Who knows, really? But clarification we have now is it's going to be the end of the season. I do not foresee that changing.
You do not foresee that changing, and that changes up the Coyotes' defense quite a bit. Because Timmins was obviously one of the players who was always on the roster, always. He was always in any one of the three pairs, and now obviously that's going to give some more opportunities to some of the younger guys. Capobianco is getting closer to coming back.
Yeah, and we'll touch on that. He's getting closer to coming back. I think something that we've talked about before, just because the Tucson Roadrunners a lot more. We talk about them a lot. This is really Capobianco's shot, and this is going to be a good opportunity for him once he gets back. I think it's also a really good opportunity for Dyson Mayo, who seems to be making the most of his time up with the Coyotes.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out too. I'm trying to look based off how else this affects certain players' time on ice. How does this affect the other players? I mean, obviously those who are still who are part of the pairs no matter what, like Chikrin and Gossesbeer, because they kind of kept rotating those pairs in and out. Like, what kind of things are we going to see now? Obviously, we've been seeing quite a bit the last week and a half ever since he went out with the injury.
Yeah.
But now there's got to be a long-term things put into place.
I mean, I think it really does influence kind of the entirety of the Coyotes defensive core, because I think there was an expectation that Timmins would be a bigger piece as the season moved on, as he's gotten a chance to adjust to his new team. So that affects like the kind of fringe guys like Capobianco, Mayo, guys who spend a lot of time in the AHL. But I think it also really affects like a player like Anton Stroman. The team is going to be relying on him a lot more than necessarily thought that they would be, because you kind of want to have someone with experience to kind of match whatever skill that they have. It affects Ilya Lyubushkin, just because he's going to have a whole bunch of different pairings now. Um, it kind of changes how everything is going to go with the Coyotes this year. I do think that they were really counting on um, having Timmins be with the team and grow as a young defenseman. And I don't know if that's like how impacted that is going to be from this injury.
Yeah, I'm trying. I actually decided to look at daily face-off to see what the defensive pairs look like right
Yeah,
now, and see based off obviously daily. It changes every day.
Daly,
Yeah, just because obviously the Coyotes love to change up their defensive pairs like freaking every game.
of course.
But right now they have it Chikrin with Mayo on the first pair, Gossesbeer, Strawman on the second pair, and Lyubushkin with Soderstrom on the third pair.
Yeah. Which I mean, it's definitely an interesting mix. They seem to be putting like kind of younger players with more experienced players, except for that middle pairing, which is just two really experienced guys. Um, I thought, like I said before, I think Mayo has been really solid. I like him on a line with Chikrin, and I like the Soderstrom and Lyubushkin pairing. Uh,
It,
I, I still think defense is probably the best thing for the Coyotes right now.
yeah, it is amazing how much Mayo has actually improved since that first game. Obviously, he got his goal that first game, but remember when we were like I was there, we were talking while at Heat River Arena. I was like, oh man, Mayo made a huge mistake defensively, and like it shows that it was his first game. But like in just the last, how many games has it been since then? 4 games, 5 games.
Uh,
Um,
Can't remember. I've already changed the date on my calendar. It feels like it's been a while because the team's been losing. But you're right. He has definitely made steps forward in, developing as a defenseman. And we see that a lot. You'll see like a player who, like they first get called up, they're nervous, but after they've had time to like settle down, get into the rhythm, practice with the team, like they're a lot sharper, like they're professionals. So like there's some like a certain level of like, hey, do your job mentality there, but also just, once you're more comfortable, like it's easier to do everything.
and of course, it goes without saying. And you even kind of said it at the beginning. Nothing that I love more than seeing former Tucson Roadrunners absolutely kill it in the NHL.
Yeah, and we're getting a lot, especially from the blue line. A lot of AHL experience in the with the Coyotes this year. Um, I imagine once we get a little bit further into the season, we'll probably get some more forwards up as well.
I mean, especially with Cam Dineen being the number 70 man. We haven't even mentioned him either.
Yeah, which he hasn't really had too much of an opportunity, I would
No,
say.
he hasn't.
Um, it'll be interesting to see how that all kind of works, especially with it's something we danced around, but with Capobianco coming back soon, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, again, Capobianco coming back will obviously change quite a bit in how things go. I have a lot of confidence in them, but we will talk about more about Capobianco and other players who are set to come back from injury All that coming up in just a sec on Locked On Coyotes. But first, I'm going to tell you guys about Bet Online. We're back and better than ever. A new web interface to start the basketball season and more props and odds and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to the new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today. Receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use that promo code LOCKED ON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball postseason, which is actually now over, NHL, boxing, and UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait. Take advantage for all the amazing offers for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Okay, so now let's start talking about the other injuries, Kyle. We had, I mentioned in the last segment that there was we had updates, and that's when we first heard the update of, well, the first couple updates, the one about Timmins going upgraded now, and then eventually out for the rest of the season. But with those reports were other reports of everybody else, and it seems everyone's making good progress.
Yep. I could just go through it. I'm looking at a couple tweets from Craig Morgan. Capobianco is day-to-day and has skated. Ryan Dzingel, with an upper body injury, is now listed at 1 to 2 weeks. Nick Schmaltz, now 3 to 4 weeks. And apparently Alex Galchenyuk has been skating on his own in Arizona. Not ready to practice yet, but skating, and that's definitely an important next step.
That is an important next step. So I'm actually curious. I'm trying to see based off what it looks like. So Capobianco is day to day, but he still hasn't been activated off the injured reserve.
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to make that one clear. Geez, I just went to a cat friendly page and looked at everyone on the injured reserve and was like, oh god.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. I have to do the injuries list whenever we publish a preview article, and it gets longer, it seems, every week.
But it seems that again, Capobianco day to day, everyone else seems to be a couple weeks away.
Yeah.
So like it's obviously with the exception of Timmins, which it doesn't. I mean, like we said, like we mentioned before, it hurts, but the Coyotes can do next man up in defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad these players are getting their opportunities to come back.
Yeah. I mean, especially when you look at some of the players that they're missing, Nick Schmaltz and Alex Galchenyuk. I think though they were expected to be two pretty big pieces of the Coyotes' offense this year, and they're not there. And it should really come as no surprise that the offense is kind of sputtered. I think with just like a little bit more skill, they could have maybe generated something past couple
Mm-hmm.
games. Like neither are world breakers. They're not going to like change the game, but they can do something. And the Coyotes, like they haven't been losing by much. Like 2-1 games, 2-0 games, those are very winnable situations where you just
Against
have,
pretty decent teams too.
yeah, exactly. And like we haven't even gotten a chance to see Galchenyuk this season. And given how well Hayton's playing, no reason to put him at center.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talked about how the centers works and I think it's so nice that Hayton has fallen into the center position pretty well, and like when Schmaltz comes back, that makes a huge difference too. You have to have Schmaltz and Hayton, and and all of a sudden it's like, wait, we kind of have centers now.
Yeah, yeah. There's the basic outline of a center on the Arizona Coyotes, which is not something that we really expected, because the team traded most of them, all the good ones at least. But yeah, I can like when your margin of error is what it is when you're the Coyotes. If you get solid goaltending from Vejmelka and decent defensive coverage, you just need a goal or two. Like I think getting Galchenyuk and Schmaltz will be really big for that. I think the team wants to get to Dzingel back, especially like he dropped the gloves when Timmins' knee was hurt. Like that's definitely a big morale thing. So he wants to come back, and we're all kind of waiting to see what Capobianco can do. So like it'd be great to get him back.
And it goes without saying too, based off what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, is this is make or break for Capobianco too.
Yeah.
He has to once he gets activated at the IR, once he finally gets to be able to skate in the game, he needs to take advantage of that from the get go. No mistakes. Like he needs to make sure, because again, this is his make or break. He is on a contract year,
Yep.
and if he doesn't play well, then who knows how much longer than this, he will have the opportunity.
Yeah. And he's on waivers, so like the Coyotes are going to be hesitant to send him down. And if they do, some other team can claim him, so he may no longer be with the organization. Uh, and going along with that, like he's probably going to get like I forget what it's called. It's too early in the morning. A week in Tucson on a conditioning stint. That's what
Yeah,
it is. But after that's over, he better play because he needs to prove that he is better than Cam Janine or Dyson Mayo to have a spot and to stick around. And if he doesn't, like I think the team's going to look to trade him.
which is
Or
interesting. Which is interesting because I was mentioning this to other people too. Based off how they've played in Tucson, Capobianco is far and away better than them. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not saying that. Like they're like it's like that. It's monumental, but like it's a pretty big difference. Capobianco is a phenomenal defenseman. I watching him in Tucson. I'm like, this guy can do good things. I just hope it can translate into the NHL. And this is where and now this hope is even more because of that now officially being waiver eligible.
yeah. And unfortunately, we often see that like it can't translate to the NHL. Like AHL players, like they're able to get away with a couple things that NHL players can't because like the talent level is so different that if you try something like that in the NHL, you're gonna get caught and you're gonna look foolish. We see that a lot with players like learning like, oh, I used to be able to do that move in juniors all the time, but now Connor McDavid is going to shut me down every single time I try it on him.
Dylan
And that,
Strome and Nick Merkley took
yeah. Uh, and that's kind of like, that's part of everyone's development time, like adjusting your game, like making it fit. I think that truly more than anything was what made Connor Garland so special. Like he took a game that was doing okay in the AHL, but he's like, no, I want to play this better, and to play in the NHL, I need to do X, Y, and Z that I
he let
didn't have to do in the
development
AHL.
He listened
Yeah,
to the development coach, and look what happened. And that's the thing too. Like we were talking about, I was talking about Garland several times last season. And I was like, look, this guy was. I saw him in the AHL, and I thought he was great. But I noticed he had to work on X, Y, and Z.
yeah,
Even me, someone who's not a coach, noticed those things. Like, oh, he needs to work away from the puck. He needs to work better on his skating. But other than that, he is a phenomenal player. And then he works on that, and then I see him in the NHL. I'm like, holy crap, that can be done. See, it's a
yeah.
perfect example.
Yeah.
I just really hope Capobianco can be that next guy.
Yeah. And I think there's like every indication that he can be. He just needs to like get consistent time to prove it, and show what he can do. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think once he's back, we will, you know, again, it's going to take a little bit of time. He needs to adjust. He needs to get used to, playing again because he's
Yep.
missed the entire season to start. But I think he will, like, hopefully in a couple games do something special. And if not, like I said, the team will probably be looking to trade him. There was rumors that he was going to be traded during this offseason. So wouldn't surprise me if he falters a little bit that his name, goes out to a couple other GMs just to gauge interest, if nothing else.
Maybe just pick up an extra draft pick if they need it, just
Yeah.
because it'd be a late round draft pick, but still.
Yeah. Because I'm sure there's another team that's willing to, offer something to kind of see what Capobianco can do to
Or a
see if he can
team,
translate.
or a team that notices that Capobianco has the exact play style of a defenseman that they're looking for that fits their system.
Yeah, definitely that. And it could be that maybe like he just doesn't fit with Bear's system. I don't know. I think he's gonna hopefully have every chance in the world to prove that he belongs. This doesn't seem like a team that's hampering development for players in search of like immediate success because they're not getting that. They should be able to give him quite a long leash to kind of show what he can do.
This is the development stage of the rebuild, so give him the opportunity.
Yeah, we are very, very early in the development stage of the rebuild. Just over what 11% into the season. It's barely even started, and the first 2 years are the development years of the rebuild. So we got plenty of time for that. No need to
Plenty,
rush it.
plenty of time, plenty of time. But we still got more to get to on this episode of Locked On Coyotes. Time to take a early look into the Anaheim Ducks. Who do you put in net? We'll talk about that in just a sec. But a little quick word from our sponsors. And we're back. As we talk about, so we got the Anaheim Ducks tomorrow, Carl.
Yep.
And it's going to be an interesting one because obviously the Ducks aren't a great team. And actually, we have a back-to-back coming up. Let's start off with that. We got a back-to-back coming up, away in Anaheim and then at home hosting Seattle. Both are quote basement teams in the NHL. Along like they're below 26, I believe, in our power rankings.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, let's be fair. It's probably the easiest back-to-back you can get. It's going to be a short flight back from Anaheim on Friday night. So hopefully the team's not too tired.
it's a 1 hour flight. Let's be real, like less than a 1 hour flight. It's probably like 45 minutes.
I have flown from Phoenix to Orange, California, and it is not that bad a flight at all. I barely had time to finish my beer. So yeah, it should be fine. I think there's definitely it's a tough call. A back-to-back against two kind of underperforming teams. Who do you start? I think you give Prosvetov one of those starts, but I'm not sure who yet. Who do you think should start against the Ducks?
I'm trying to figure this one out too because based off power rankings, the Ducks are, I think, a slightly better team than obviously than we expected. I think what they are 25 and the Kraken are like 28.
Okay.
It's an interesting one to try to make a decision. Maybe see if I can bring up the power rankings so I'm sure what exactly it is.
All right. While you're doing that, I will say
25,
I think
28. There we go.
25, 28. Okay. I think there is a strong benefit to starting Vejmelka tonight or tomorrow when they face the Ducks, just because he had like rough goes. Like he should have gotten points in the last two games.
Yep.
I think like keeping him in there and being like, no, we're gonna keep this going until we win because this guy deserves a win, is a thing that makes a lot of sense. I think it makes sense that you go in completely prepared for your best game. I think that the Coyotes are going to be the most rested for this one. They want to get a win right away. They don't want to get that poor season start record just because that's going to be bad for morale. I think you play with Vejmelka tonight or tomorrow, and then Prosvetov against Seattle.
Yeah, I do. I'm with you on that. And I think not only that too is again, like I said, they're both weaker teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't discount that because you can make a big mistake in doing that, but still, and you put Prosvetov you put Vejmelka against the Ducks. It's the first half of it. Let's be real. The Coyotes don't want to tie their franchise record for losing streak to begin a season.
Nope.
So
Uh, that's just like something you want to avoid. Like I said, it's bad for morale. It's going to follow the team around. It's honestly like it's followed talking around. Like the fact that the team had one of the worst starts in the history of the NHL is something that is very tied to the Rick Tocchet legacy. I would say it's something that comes up a lot when talking about his merits as a coach. It's something that comes up a lot when talking about the franchise. It, you know, and I think Bear would do well to avoid having that happen. I don't think they necessarily go into it consciously thinking that because
that's a
that's
bad
just
thing to go in to think about.
yeah, that's a bad mentality to have. Um, it's okay for us like as fans and as media to be
Reporters, yeah.
yeah to be focused on that like, but when you are actually in the game, like that's not what you want in your head. So
You
uh,
can have some kind of motivation, something
yeah,
to get you motivated to do it, but like don't go in thinking that like if you lose this, then X is gonna happen.
yeah. I mean, like we always say, like you should play to win. You shouldn't play not to lose. That's like that comes up anytime a team has a 2-goal lead. They're like, all right, are they going to play more defensively to not lose, or are they going to keep doing what they need to do to win? And I think that's just kind of a a grander scale version of that problem. So, like, I don't think they're consciously thinking that, but I do think it's influencing them on a subconscious level, and I think that's why they're going to start Vejmelka.
Yeah, and again, I'm totally with you. I think they'll start Vejmelka. I'm interested to see who the Ducks start. Do they bring back the goalie that is hard to solve?
I that's just been another problem. There's been so many hard goalies. Someone's got to throw the Coyotes a bone and like put in their backup. Just someone, please, backup goaltender.
Who is the backup? Anthony Stolarz is the backup in Anaheim.
I'm not too familiar with him.
He was the starter in for San Diego for a while.
Oh, okay. Uh, oh, bringing a guy up from the AHL. How did you do? Did you remember a lot of games with him, or?
He was decent. I can't remember anything significant. I think the next step, the person that they have in San Diego now, and Eriksson Ek is much better in my opinion. But
Sure, sure. Uh, I mean, I don't think the Coyotes are going to have a tough go of this either way. They're still, like we said earlier, missing key pieces of their offense. They don't have the blue line that they necessarily thought they were going to have. So it's not going to be an easy game no matter what. Uh, I do think, and we'll discuss this more tomorrow. I think it's a very winnable game for the Coyotes, though.
yeah, I'm looking at I'm trying to look at their roster right now. They got. I barely recognize half this team of the Anaheim Ducks. I think this. It looks like the San Diego. Actually, I kind of recognize it because it looks like the San Diego goals to me. Um,
I mean, that's where they're at in their rebuild. I'm sure, like 4 years from now, you're gonna be like, oh man, a lot of these Coyotes players are Roadrunners alum.
trying to figure out because Mason McTavish is listed on conditioning stint with the San Diego Gulls, and he was with them last year last week when they were playing Tucson. And conditioning stints are a week long.
Yeah, we
So
discovered that earlier.
yeah.
Um,
So does McTavish come back for the game tomorrow?
um, hmm, I don't know. Well, when was he assigned there?
6 days ago.
So tomorrow will be the last day of that he could be there. But we have seen teams pull early, depending on what's going on. That'll be.
The standard loan is the form of 14 consecutive days. The player can be sent to the AHL. Yeah, so they can be sent down for 14 days.
Gotcha. Okay, so yeah, he'll probably stay. I'm not sure what the Ducks will do. I'm sure we'll know more tomorrow when we get the line rushes and kind of see. Either way, Coyotes can't take either of these teams for granted. But usually, when you're at the bottom of the standings, you don't take anyone for granted.
No, you do what you can to win a game.
Yep. And that's all they need to do. They need to get their first win of the season. So whatever it takes to get that.
Absolutely. So you and I, once again, you and I both agree that they should put Vejmelka for this part of the back-to-back, and then start Prosvetov against the Seattle Kraken at home on Saturday.
Yep. That's what I think they should do. Not saying that's what they will do, because those are always very different things. But I think that makes the most sense to me.
It does make the most. Now you're making me second guess, because I was talking about this is essentially the San Diego Gulls. Prosvetov had some really good games against San Diego.
Yeah. I'm glad you're second guessing this now. I don't think there's necessarily a wrong way to do this, especially when these two teams are on a similar level, like Anaheim and Seattle. If it was like Anaheim on Friday, Saturday was against the Colorado Avalanche, I would say that's a different thing. But these are teams on the same level, so I think you could really put in either or without having too many concerns. So yeah, I can see Prosvetov being better against the Gulls alumni, but still got to deal with the Ducks players, and I think that maybe Seattle's a better matchup for that.
We will have to see. We will talk about that on the pregame episode tomorrow, so be sure to tune in with us then as we get updated on who is going to be in net for both the Anaheim Ducks and the Arizona Coyotes. But we are out of time for this episode, so we're going to go ahead and end right now. And thank you all you guys for tuning in to today's episode. If you like what you heard, don't forget to leave a review, like, comment, subscribe if you've yet to already. We're available everywhere you get your podcast now, including YouTube. Don't forget to also like us on Facebook. We are at facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes. We actually publish some of our live shows on there. So if we have a post-game live show, you can watch that there, as well as on YouTube and on Twitter at LO_Coyotes. I'm personally at Robyn_Leaño. That's ROBYN_LEANO. Carl Pavlock at Carl Pavlock FFH. Anyway, just ask us any question you might have. We might answer right back, or on a future episode of the Locked On Coyotes podcast. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to today's episode. Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy, and don't forget to howl on.